The figures on food waste in our nation are appalling, and rehearsing them will not make them any more attractive. In our homes, it is literally a case of taking a loaf of bread, giving thanks, breaking it, and throwing half away.
You find me for this film in the debating chamber where the General Synod meets at Church House in London. The General Synod has a range of debates which it's been engaged with or will be. I'm just going to give you a quick snapshot of them because I think they are perhaps helpful and illustrative. We were considering our overseas partnerships. Those are really important to us in the Diocese of Rochester as we think of our links with Tanzania, with Zimbabwe, with Estonia. Relationships which are part of our life and enrich our lives as Christians. And of course many of our parishes and our communities and our schools have their own particular overseas partnerships as well. To introduce that debate, we heard from three bishops from within the Anglican Communion, the Archbishop of South Africa, and then his colleagues, bishops from the South Pacific and from Pakistan, very different parts of the world. But in their brief sharings, they give us a sense of our partnership with the worldwide Anglican Communion. Then later on in the morning, we had a debate about food waste, the incredible cost of what we waste every year without even noticing. It relates to us as individuals, it also relates to our economy, to the retail sector, to how we manage our society. And then some legislative business, amending canons and things like that, draft measures, things which can seem pretty dry and dusty, but actually are important parts of the framework within which we carry out our mission and our discipleship in the Church of God. And then consideration of a further stage, as it were, in our relationship with the Methodist Church in these islands, and proposals, not uncontroversial actually, for recognition of ministries one way and the other. I talked about the legislative business, those bits of business which provide bits of framework for our life as a church. And Lent is one of those occasions when actually we can look at those things for ourselves, the things which provide the structure, the framework for our own Christian discipleship, our prayer life, our study of the Scriptures. Is the way in which I've been doing it still feeding me, nourishing me? Is the approach I have to prayer one which is still life-giving for me? Do I need perhaps to look at things in a different way? Has my life moved on in some way which needs to be reflected in the pattern of my spiritual discipline? That might be something for us to consider during the season of Lent. The Anglican Methodist Covenant, reflection on our unity with fellow Christians, those of other traditions and denominations, within the traditional denominational partners, within independent churches increasingly. How are we building those relationships? How are we sharing in mission and service of our communities in the place where we are? Another thing perhaps to reflect upon. The debate this morning about food waste. That's perhaps about our personal discipleship, the way in which we live our lives, our lifestyles, our patterns of life, that which we show by the way we operate as Christians, the priorities we have. Maybe we need to reflect on some things of those natures, our tendency to be consumers, our tendency to waste. How might we change our pattern of life in a way which is truly Christian? And then the debate we had first time this morning about the Anglican Communion and the wonderful affirmation of our unity with our sisters and brothers across the whole Christian world, particularly within the Anglican Communion, but more widely as well. And as we reflect in Lent upon our Christian calling, to rejoice in that fact that we are part of a people for whom our Lord Jesus Christ gave his life. And as we go through Lent and as we come towards Passiontide, to reflect on our Lord's sacrificial love and how that draws us together with God's people in every place of every nation, every race, every language, every culture, and in that we rejoice.